Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is CHAGGIGA Daf Tes. We are holding out the Mishnah, which is 4 lines from the top. So we know that on Yom Tov, one is meant to bring an Oilas Re'iyah, Shalmi CHAGGIGA. Ideally, you bring it on day 1, on Yom Tov itself. But if one fails to bring it at the outset of Yom Tov, there are always make-up days. So you can bring it on any of those days throughout Yom Tov. If one failed to bring his carbon on that first day of Yom Tov, he may do so throughout the entire Yom Tov. Not only that, the Yom Tov ha'achron shel Chag as well. We're speaking about Chag, which is typically a reference to Sukkot. Not only can he make up throughout Chol HaMoyed, you can even make it up on the last day, on the 8th day of Sukkot, which is really a separate Yom Tov, Rashi says. It's called Regel B'fnei Atzmai. There are several halachas in which the Shmini Atzeres is separate, is different than the rest of Yom Tov. But when it pertains to Tashlumin, making up, you can do so even on Yom Tov ha'achron. Avar ha'regel v'lechag, the entire regel passed you by, and you have not fulfilled your chagiga, it's over. It's a lost opportunity. He's no longer obligated, doesn't have to look after it. It's over. He missed his opportunity. Alzer Nemar, on this the pasuk says, Mu'uvas lo yichal liskoin, one who was bent out of shape cannot be repaired again. V'cheisaroin lo yuchal limanis, if he was missing, he missed an opportunity, he can no longer be recounted. He can't be counted again. He can't make up that missed opportunity. It's over. Yom Tov is over. Tashlumin is over. Try next Yom Tov again. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai has a different approach to this pasuk. You know what it's speaking about? What's considered something which was perverted and cannot be repaired again? One lives with an arayis, mamzer, and a mamzer resulted from that union. So although anything can be corrected through teshuvah, but the fact is you have something there, something tangible created through the avera, which is sort of an everlasting memoriam to the avera. Taisa says, "Boishtoi nikar," you have a real embarrassment in front of you. You have the avera in a tangible form. Although the Gemara in Kedushin says, "Mamzer loichaye," a mamzer who's illegitimate doesn't really have a true existence, and eventually it die out. Doesn't last past a couple of generations. But the bottom line is there is a tangible effect to the Avera, and that's very severe. So it must be speaking about this case. Why? Because im taimar begoynei v'gozel. Let's say stealing, robbing. That's not it's not permanent. Yachulu lachziroi v'yisak, and he can just return the item or its value, as Rashi says, and there goes the Avera. You rectify the Avera. As opposed to this case of mamzer. That's a living being which creates that permanent impression, a permanent effect. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, you know what the pasuk is speaking about? He has a different approach. Ein korin mu'uvas. The term mu'uvas denotes that things were going well, and he went off track. Ela lamisha hi mesukim betchila v'nis aves. Rashi says mu'uvas means mekulkel. It got ruined. It was damaged. It became crooked. Something was straight, and then became nis aves. What is that? Ve'ezeh? What's it referring to? Is it Talmud Chacham? Haperish min haTorah. A Talmud Chacham immersed in learning decides, it's not for me, I have better things to do. He strays from the Torah. Immersion, that's a pity. He's a Mesukah. He's so on track. What are you doing off track? Mu'uvas lo yichal liskoin. Of course, there's a way back, but the concept of mu'uvas means something which is meant to be good and was good and was perverted. So that's a mu'uvas, and of course, in this case of the Talmud Chacham, if he goes back, of course it's back to normal. But if he stays off the path, he took his potential, he took his Chacham, he took his Torah, and he lost the opportunity. Says the Gemara, how do we know that you can make up up until and including the last day of Sukkot. Last day of Sukkot is a separate Yom Tov. Shmini Atzeres. Regel b'fnei atzmai. So how do we know that you can still make up your Chagiga on that day? Omar Rabbi Yehuda. Mishum Rabbi Shmuel. Nemar Atzeres b'shvi shel Pesach. We have the Lashon, the word Atzeres. On the 7th day of Pesach, it says, Sheishis Yomim Toichel Matzos, Ubayom HaShvi Atzeres. V'nemar Atzeres b'shmini shel Chag. We have the Lashon Atzeres pertaining to the 8th day of Sukkot. We connect it to Ma lahalon litashlumin. Just as all 7 days of Pesach are suitable for makeup of Chagiga, let's just assume so. It's one big Yom Tov, and you can make up your missed opportunity throughout that Yom Tov. Av kan l'tashlumin, likewise over here. Even on day 8 of Sukkot, you can still make up your lost Chagiga. Mufne. Now it must be that one of these psukim is available. Is an extra pasuk, in which case the Gzera Shava carries greater weight. You can't even challenge such a Gzera Shava which is mufne. Do you love mufne? Because otherwise, if it's not available for this drasha, it's just a standard Gzera Shava without any extra words. There is a way to challenge this connection, this comparison. Comparing Shvi Shal Pesach to Shmini Shal Sukkos, big difference. Mal Shvi Shal Pesach, Shekain Einei Cholok Mishal Lefanav. Look, day 7 of Pesach is no different than the previous days. It's one continuum. So it can be used for Tashlumin. Toima B'Shmini Shal Chag, as opposed to day 8 of Sukkos, Shecholok Mishal Lefanav. There's so many differences between himself and the previous days of Sukkos. Who's to say that day 8 can be used as a Tashlumin for the previous days? La'ai, correct. Yes. Afnuyi Mufna, we have an extra pasuk, which gives this Gzera Shava added weight and value, which dispels any kashas and any perchas. What's the extra pasuk? Michti. Let's analyze it. The pasuk says, "Ubayom HaShvi Atzeres." The pasuk concludes, "Loisasa malach." Right? Now, what does Atzeres mean? My Atzeres, Atzer b'Atzeres malacha. You withheld from malacha. But then the pasuk continues saying the same thing again. Hoksiv loisasa malacha. So why that repetition? Atzeres the kosav rachman alamli. Why does the Torah use the word atzeres? Elo shmamino lafnuyi. It's meant to give us that extra word, extra pasuk, to allow for a proper Gzera Shava without any concerns of challenging. And therefore, we make that connection between atzeres of Pesach and atzeres of Sukkos. And Tashlumin is valid all throughout the Yom Tov until day 8 and including day 8 of Sukkot. That's Rabbi Yehuda's approach. We have a Tana, what a different source for the same halach. That you can make up even on day 8 of Sukkot. Maisi Lam Yacha. He derives this halacha from the following pasuk, the Sanya. V'chagoisim oisei chag l'Hashem. So pasuk says that you bring the chag, the korban chagiga. Chagoisei oisei chag l'Hashem shivas yom. This is on Sukkot. So you have 7 days to bring that korban chagiga. Yochel yei chagig v'oilach kol shiva. Perhaps the pasuk means bring it today, bring it tomorrow, bring it the next day. You have to bring 7 chagigas. Talmud Loima, the pasuk says v'chagoisem oisei. The ikar is day 1. Oisei ata chagig, vi ata chagig kol shiva. The Ikar Chagiga is day 1. Once you bring it on the first day, you're Yaitse, you're done. You don't have to repeat it the next day and the day after. So why then does the pasuk say do Chagiga for 7? With Ashlumin. To imply that there's a make-up period. If you miss day 1, you can always make it up. How do we know? Let's say he missed the first day of Sukkot. They can make it up throughout the Yom Tov and including the last day as well. Day 8 of Sukkot, Talmud Loimar. Same pasuk continues and says, and we learn from here that you have more time to make it up. As Rashi says, Kol Yimei HaChag Ha'omer B'chodesh HaShvi. You can use any Yom Tov, even up until and including the last day, as long as it's within the 7th month, Chodesh Tishrei. So basically saying the entire Sukkot is valid as a Tashlumin period. 1 second, if you're focusing on Chodesh HaShvi, perhaps you can continue until Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, until the end of Tishrei. Perhaps you can make it up until the end of the month. The pasuk at the end of this pasuk says, "This is another oisai in the pasuk, which limits it, restricts it. Oisai at the chaggig, he can only apply CHAGGIGA during the actual Yom Tov. At the chaggig chutz aloi, but now not beyond, not after the Yom Tov. So here's a makar for tashlumin on Shmini Atzeres as well. So bottom line is, we know that Oilas Riyah and Sham CHAGGIGA are meant to be brought ideally on the first day of Yom Tov. You missed that opportunity, keep on going until the end of Yom Tov, whether it's until the 7 days of Pesach are over, or until and including the last day of Sukkot. How do we know Shmini Atzeres is included? Either through the Gzeir Shava Atzeres from Pesach, that's Rabbi Yechon's approach, whereas the Tana learns it from a limud of Chodesh Hashvi Techagu Oisai. The Tashlumin period extends until the end of Sukkot. Now we speak about Tashlumin. How does that work? Umay Tashlumin. How exactly does this work? We have a machlekes. Rabbi Yechon Amar Tashlumin L'Rishon. The Iker Chiv is on day 1. That's Pashut. You fail to bring it on day 1, you make it up on day 2, day 3, day 4, right? They're all considered make-up days for day 1. So basically, if you had a Chiv on day 1, you have to make it up on day 2. But let's say a person had no Chiv on day 1. He was ineligible. He was not ready for carbon Riyah on day 1. He's pater. There's nothing to make up for. Because everything is Tashlumin Lo Rishon. That's Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yesha Amar, Tashlumin Zelazah, no. They make up for each other. Basically what he's saying is, each day is a separate independent Chiv. Of course, you only have to bring it once a Yom Tov. But on day 1 of Yom Tov, you bring the CHAGGIGA. You miss day 1, day 2 is committed for that CHAGGIGA as well. You miss day 2, day 3 is committed for that CHAGGIGA. So each day on its own has its own personal commitment to that CHAGGIGA, which only has to be brought once a Yom Tov. But each day is interdependent. It's not dependent on the previous day. It's totally a separate chiv. So if you miss day 1, you make it up on day 2. If you miss day 2, you make it up on day 3, etc., etc. And therefore, even if you, we'll see in a minute. My binas. So what's the difference between Rabbi Yechon and Rabbi Yesha? Is there a halachic nafkamina? Yes. In the case that we mentioned, Amar Rabbi Zera, let's say he was a chigar b'yom rishon. He was handicapped on the first day. He couldn't make it to the Beis Hamikdash. A person who's a chigar, limping, is pater from Riyah, right? So on day 1 he was pater. On day 2 he became healthy. That will be a difference. Rabbi Yechon Amar Tashlumin L'Rishon. Rabbi Yechon, who says that all days of Yom Tov are just there to make up for the Chiv on the first day. Well, in this case, Kivan Chazi B'Rishon, since he wasn't suitable, he wasn't right, he wasn't eligible, he wasn't Chayiv on the first day. As far as he's concerned, that Chiv never kicked in, it was never activated. So he's not Chayiv on the second day at all. Remember, second day and third day and fourth are just making up for the Chiv that was there on the first day. In this case, there was no Chiv activated on the first day. He's not Roy on the first day. He's not Roy on the second day or the third day either. That's Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yesha Amar, no. Tashlumin Zelazeh. Every day makes up for the missed previous day. Basically, every day is a separate Chiv. And therefore, in this case, even though he wasn't suitable, he wasn't Roy on the first day, he was a Chigar on the first day. He had no Chiv then. Chazi B'Sheni. He's Chayiv on the second day, which is not related to which is not dependent upon the first day. Asks the Gemara, Umi Omar Rabbi Yechon Hachi, is that so that Rabbi Yechon holds that when an individual is not chayiv, you can't make, there's nothing to make up. You can make up something that you missed, but if you weren't chayiv, there's nothing to make up. Is that so? Listen to this. Va'amar Chizki. We're going to speak about a nazir. So he became tamei. As a result of that, he has to bring a set of karbanis. He has to count to 7 days. On day 8, during daytime, which is the Zman HaKrava, he'll bring his karbanis. Let's say he got tummy again. Poor guy, he got tummy again. Question is, can he be yotze with the same set of karbanis? Because he's going to have to go through a whole process again, and shave, and etc., and wait for another 7 days to bring karbanis. Does he have to bring another set of karbanis? Or can he just include it in the first set, and do one set of karbanis for both events of Tumah? It's an interesting shaila, right? So the shaila is it included or is it separate? It depends when it happened. Nitma b'yoyim. Suppose he became tamei during day 8, during daytime of day 8, which is a time suitable for hakravas karbanos. He could have already brought that first set of karbanos, Right? He was a Nazir, became Tamei, counted 7. On day 8 he should bring Karbanis. He became Tamei again right now. Maybe. So this fellow has to bring 2 sets of Karbanis, because keep in mind he was already Chayv to bring the first set. That's over. That experience is over. A new Tumah generates a new Chiv Karban. But Laila ain't maybe. But if he became Tamei only at night, the previous night, the night between 7 and 8, which is not a Zman that's Roi for Hakrovas Karbanis. So technically the Chiv Karban, on account of that first Tumah experience, hadn't yet landed on him. Wasn't really actualized, wasn't really experienced. It's nighttime. Sure, it's the night before the day of Karban, but it's still nighttime. It's not Zman Hakrava, it's not Zman Chiv Karban. Ain't it maybe? So this case, when he becomes Tamei right then, it's sort of included in the previous experience. He hadn't yet left that experience. So it's all covered by the same Tumah experience, and when he gets out of that Tumah, he'll bring 1 set of Karbanos for the entire experience. That's Chizki's approach. So again, he holds, if somehow the second Tumah can relate to can be absorbed in the previous Tumah, i.e., became Tamei at night, which is still before the Zman HaKravas Karban, the first experience, that's included in the first experience, and he's going to take care of it with 1 Karban. But if it's by Yom, it's already the next day, the Chiv Karban, on account of the first Tumah experience, has already landed on him. That's over. Now he has to bring a new Karban for the new experience. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, and here's going to be the Kasha. After Laila, Nami Mevi, even if it became Tamei at night, the night of the 8th, night between 7 and 8. It's not as man Karban. Still, he will bring a new Karban Tumah for the new Tumah. Kasha is, fine, I understand, night is already related to the next day, fine, but bottom line is, when he gets out of the second experience, when he becomes Torah the second time, he's going to require 2 sets of Karbanos. 1 for the second Tumah, and 1 to make up for the missed first Chiyuv. Now, keep in mind, what are you making up for? You're making up for a fellow who should have brought a Karban the first time around, but the reason why he didn't was for 2 reasons. A, he became Tamei at night, and it was still before the Zman HaKravas Karban, so he couldn't have brought a Karban yet for the first experience. And secondly, the reason why you're making up is because the next day he was already Tamei. He couldn't bring his Karban for the first experience because he was Tamei. So basically, he wasn't really Chayiv. He couldn't bring the Karban. And still you're obligating him to bring another set of Karbanos for that first Tumah, which he didn't bring it because he was unsuitable, because it was either nighttime or was because he was Tamei. So you have an example of a person having to make up for a Karban that he couldn't bring, even though he wasn't really chayiv to bring it. He couldn't bring it. How does this jive with Rabbi Yechanan in our sugya who says, if a fellow is unsuitable, he's not right, he's a chigar on day 1 of Yom Tov, there's nothing to make up for. You're not chayiv. You can't bring it. You can't make up something which you're not chayiv to do. Why is this different? Why is he bringing a set of karbanos for that first chiv which he couldn't bring? Rabbi Yirmiyah, big difference. Tumah, different story. Shani Tumah, the Yesh L'Tashlumin of Pesach Sheni. The reason why this fellow couldn't bring the first set of karbanos is because he was Tamei on day 8, right? Tumah is different than a chigar, which is an external, an internal condition. Chigar is personal. He's not roy for Ali the Regal. He can't bring a karban. Tumah is an external factor, resting on him. And we do find that there is something called making up for a missed opportunity due to Tumah, such as by Karban Pesach, right? A person's Tamei by the first Pesach, he'll make it up through Pesach Sheni. So Tumah is in a totally different category. You can't ask from Tumah to Chiger. Shani Tumah the Yesh L'Tashlumin. The concept of Tumah is something that can be made up. In other words, when one misses a Karban opportunity due to a Tumah factor, that can be compensated for. That has Tashlumin with Pesach Sheni. Here as well, by the Nazir, we will require another set of Karbanos to address that first Chiyuv, which was not taken care of, which was not looked after because of his Tumah. Maskiv l'Rav Papa. You're comparing to Pesach Sheni. I understand. You found a precedent to the concept of a mashlim for a carbon that was missed due to a tumah impediment. That works according to the shita that holds Pesach Sheni tashlum in the Rishon. Who? How do we view the Pesach Sheni? Is it merely a makeup for the missed carbon Pesach Rishon, or is it an independent chiyuv? There are enough geminas, which the Gemara in Pesachim discusses in great length. So if the Pesach Sheni is viewed as a tashlumin for the first Pesach, so you have a precedent, you have a raya to your concept. That when tumah gets in the way of a carbon, you can make it up. But according to the other opinion, that Pesach Sheni is a separate carbon, and not viewed as a tashlumin for the Rishon, so there goes your whole precedent. Michael, remember, you no longer found this concept anywhere. You no longer have grounds for your assumption that a carbon lost to tumah can be made up. So back to the kash. Here Rabbi Yehuda tells us a CHAGGIGA b'yom rishon who's not roy for the alila regel will not have to make it up, because if you're not roy, there's nothing to make up. When it comes to the Nazir Tameh, he says, well, if he became Tameh at night, even at night, in which case he didn't really bring the carbon he couldn't bring the carbon on the first Tumah. No, it's over. The first Tumah experience is over, and eventually he'll have to bring a carbon for that as well, on top of the carbon for the second Tumah. Why? Why would you go ahead and bring a carbon for the first opportunity, for the first tumah, which was missed due to nighttime, due to tumah? When he was telling me the next day, couldn't bring that. Why are you making that up? Papa, I'll tell you what Rabbi Yehuda is. What he means to say. Very simple. Because Sabra Rabbi Yehuda, Laila ina mechusas man. Look, it's the night in advance of the 8th, right? Between 7 and 8. Night connects to the next day. Laila is not called mechusar zman, although you have to wait until daytime. Okay, that's halacha. You can only be makir of a carbon in daylight. But as far as the day, the entity of the yom, it has already begun. When this Nazir Tameh, who now is almost tar, has entered the night, the evening of the 8th, he has already left. He's already out of the wood. He already left his previous Tumah experience. He's at the point of bringing a carbon, although technically he has to wait until he experiences daylight. Why? It's a technical detail that has to be met. But as far as the Zman, the Yom, he's already into the next day. He's already out of the previous Tumah experience. He's already in the time of carbon. That experience is over. So when he gets a new Tumah, it's a brand new experience, which requires a new carbon. See, the Hava made the Gemara figure that nighttime is still related to the previous day. It's not yet the time of carbon. It's not the Yom of carbon. So this fellow couldn't bring a carbon at this point due to the fact that it's night, and then becomes tummy the next morning. The tumah that he had at night kept him from bringing the carbon, and therefore we had a kasha, because why are you making up for a carbon that he couldn't bring due to nighttime, due to the fact that he was tummy at night and tummy next morning? No, the Teretz says nighttime is viewed as the next day. It's already this amount of carbon. It's part of the Yom Shmini. He's already exited the preparation process. He's already in the Zman of carbon. He's already a chiv carbon on him. That's it. The chiv is here already. Oh, he becomes tummy again? A new chiv. You can't absorb it into the same chiv. Ask the Gemara, really? According to Rabbi Yehuda, Laila is lav mechusas man. Night and day considered as one. Umiyam Rabbi Yehuda hachi, va'am Rabbi Yehuda. Listen to this, Rabbi Yehuda. Roa achas pa Laila v'shtayim b'yem. So you know that a Zav experiences an emission of Ziva. So one is just a carry, it's a light tumah, but once he has a second Riyah and a third experience, so number 2 makes him a Zav, and number 3 makes him a Chayv and Carbon. Now we're gonna have a similar situation as the Nazir. He had a Ziva experience. He counted 7 clean days. He's right now at the night between 7 and 8, awaiting the arrival of the 8th day on which he'll bring a carbon. Okay, poor fellow, he saw another Ziva right there at night. He thought he was out of the woods. No, another Ziva. So he saw one at night between 7 and 8. It's not your time of carbon. So he saw one there, and the next morning he saw 2 more. So Riyah number 2 makes him a Zav again. Number 3 requires carbon. Question is, can this be included in the first chiyuv carbon? Or do we say, well, he already disconnected from the previous experience, it's a brand new experience which requires a new carbon. Very similar to the Nazar Shaila. So it depends what the situation is. He had the first experience at night between the 7 and 8. The following 2. So number 2 and number 3 were the next morning, day 8. Maybe shtayim. In this case, maybe. In this case, he has to bring a new carbon for the second tumah. You know why? Because although he started a new experience at night, which is still sort of connected to the previous experience, because it's not yet a time for carbon. But it was only one re'iyah, which is insignificant. It's not really it doesn't count as a ziva experience. The true serious ziva experience only started the next morning. When he got to number 2 and number 3, that's already beyond the first. It's already day number 8. It's already the zman of carbon. He already left the first experience. He was already chayiv carbon for the first one. That's it. Now he's chayiv carbon again for the second one. So that's in this case. We had 1 at night and 2 the next morning. But in the reverse case, shtayim by layla. So he had re'iyah 1 and 2 at night. So this fellow already started experiencing somewhat of a ziva experience at night, which is still part of the previous ziva experience, so the night of the 7 days. It's not yet the time for carbon. And re'iyah number 3, so the next morning on day 8, maybe he doesn't need to bring a new carbon because it's absorbed in the previous experience. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Now, how is this going to be compatible with Rabbi Yehuda by us? If you're going to tell me that Rabbi Yehuda holds this concept called Laila Einoi Mechus Zman, the night is so related to the next day, it's as though he's already experiencing the next day. You have to wait until daylight arrives, but as far as the unit of time, night and day are considered one. If so, afilu shtayim b'layla, v'achas b'yayim, even if he had 2 re'iyos at night and 1 the next morning, he should need a new carbon. Why? Because once night time arrives, night time of day 8, although he can't technically bring a carbon right now for the first ziva experience, right? This fellow was a full-fledged dove. He counted 7 days to clean himself. He's already almost out of the woods. Boom! Now he's experiencing new ziva. So even if he had 2 re'iyos at night, but night is already connected to the next day, he's already out of the first ziva experience. He's already in this amount of carbon. Day 8 is this amount of carbon for the first Tumas ziva. A week ago, 2 weeks ago. So how could his new experience be absorbed in that experience? He already left that first experience. He disconnected from it. If you hold that Laila and Yom go together, so once nighttime arrives, it's as though it's the next morning, which is certainly out of the realm of the first experience. It's already disconnected from his old ziva. Maybe even if he had 1 and 2 at night and the 3rd the next morning. Night is like morning, disconnected from the old ziva. He should bring a new carbon. And says the Gemara, Kikam Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yehuda says this halach regarding the zav, it wasn't his own opinion. He was expressing somebody else's opinion. He was following the shita which holds Laila Mechus Zman. Yeah, night is Mechus Zman. It's still lacking. It's still premature. It's still too early. It's not considered as though you're already experiencing the next day. And if so, if he saw 1 and 2 at night, and night is still related to the old ziva, so it gets absorbed in the old experience, and there's no new carbon, there's no new chiyuv carbon. But Rabbi Yehuda himself personally holds, Laila relates to the next day. Asks the Gemara, so he's just following the other opinion? And Pshita, of course. What's obvious? Why is he? What's the chiddush here? If Laila is mechusar zman and Laila is not yet considered the next day pertaining to this halacha, so of course whatever he experiences at night is still connected to the previous ziva. He hadn't yet left the previous ziva. He hadn't yet arrived at his man of karm. Of course, what's the chiddush? You're right. This particular detail is not a chiddush, but the other halacha was a chiddush. In the case of shtayim b'yom b'achas b'laylo, it's trichle. He needed to tell us that halacha. So this fellow was tamei. He was a zav. He counted 7 yomim nekiyim. He's right at the end of his experience, about to finish, and right at night, between 7 and 8, he sees 1 re'iyah, a new re'iyah. The next morning, another 2. He's holding at 3. 1, 2, and 3. What does Rabbi Yehuda tell us? In this case, he will bring a new carbon. It's a brand new tumah. And that's a chiddush. Why? What's the chiddush? Perhaps I would think, Kat kafta de Rav Shisha breid Ravidi. So actually, this is the whole discussion Rashi brings in Maseches Krisus. We have this halacha there. Rav Shisha asked the kasha. He says, okay, we're speaking where it's middle of the night, between day 7 and day 8, right? He had one new riyah now. And only one. Come the next day, he had number 2 and number 3. So you tell me, well, it's a brand new experience. Why is it a brand new experience? The first riyah was still in the old territory. It was seen at night, which is before the Zman of Carbon, before the old Ziva concluded. So why is he chayiv a new carbon? It should be absorbed in the old Ziva. Kamash Malon could Rabbi Yosef. Says Rabbi Yehuda, no. I'm following the sheet of Rabbi Yosef, who responded to that kasha of Shisha over the increase and says, look, Rabbi says like this. He says, the Ikar experience happened on day 8. Riyah 2 and 3, which make him a Zav, right? Riyah 2 makes him a Zav. That happened tomorrow. After he had left the old Ziva's territory. He's already in Zman of Carbon for that Ziva. So although he had one Riyah at night, one Riyah is not really significant. It doesn't have the Tumas Ziva, it's a Tumas Keri, it's a light Tumah. We don't reckon with that. The Ikar Riyah was the next morning, and therefore, that's what counts. Since that happened the next morning, and that's already beyond the old Ziva's territory, left the woods, it's already Zman of Carbon, it's day 8. We reckon with that, and it's a brand new experience, and new carbon is required. Okay, so the bottom line is, we have the concept of Tashlumin, for CHAGGIGA, for Oilas Riyah as well. The Mepharshim explained that we connected two things. How does Tashlumin work? 2 ways to understand it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the Chiyuv is strictly on day 1. You miss day 1, make it up throughout Yom Tov. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no. Each day is a separate Chiyuv, even if he was not Roy on day 1. He can be Roy on day 2, or on day 3. Then we ran into the whole discussion about what is the Geder, how do you view nighttime, prior to the next day, what was Zman Carbon? Is it considered a separate entity? Was it something that pertains to the next day? According to Rabbi Yehuda, Laila, and the following day considered as one. Laila ena mechusas man. Avar haregel v'lo chag. So he allows the Yom Tov to pass him by without fulfilling mitzvah CHAGGIGA. It's a missed opportunity. Ein echai b'achar Yosef al zanemar mu'uvas lo yichal liskoin v'cheisaran lo yichal leimanos. Amalei bar hei lihilal. So Tosfos learns that bar hei was a ger, the son of Avraham and the son of Sarah, who had an hey added to their names. And he says that Ben Bagbag is the same as bar hei. Bag is Beis and Gimel, Gematria 5, which is hey. So the same is the same person. He asked the Kash, Amalei bar hei lihilal. Pasuk says, "V'chesaran luyichali manis." If one misses an opportunity, he can't recount. He can't count it. What does this mean? He molis miboili. We should say, well, if he missed an opportunity, he can't fill it up. Can't compensate for it. It's over. Why mentions counting? Ella, you know what it's speaking about? So Hillel responded, Amalei, Zeh shehimenu chaver dvar mitzvah. We're speaking when a person was invited to join the others doing a mitzvah. He decided not to join them. He's too busy. He's not joining them. That's the case we're speaking. Chisar, you did your own thing. You didn't join the crowd. You didn't join the mitzvah. He missed the opportunity. He won't be counted into the mitzvah amongst the rest of the people. Tani Nam Yochi of the same enterprise. What is that? Zeshebitel Krishma shel Shachris, Krishma shel Arvis. He missed a Krishma on the morning or at night. Or Shebitel Tefillah shel Shachris, or Tefillah shel Arvis. So that's Me'uvos Leichal Liskan. He had the opportunity to daven, say Krishma, and he let it slip by. What does v'chisora and luichel imanis mean? Zeshenimnu chavero dar mitzvah. Speaking that he had a group of people joined together to do a mitzvah. They invited him in. He refused to join them. He misses that opportunity. Amalei bar heihei Hillel. He asked Hillel another shayla. I have an interesting pasuk in Malachi, which reads like this: You'll sit down and you contemplate. You'll discern between bein tzaddik l'rasha. That's number one. And also you'll discern between bein oived elokim, one who serves Hashem, la'asher lo yavod, and the fellow who doesn't serve Hashem. Now, isn't this a redundancy? Isn't this a repetition? Hainu tzaddik, hainu oived elokim. Let's assume a tzaddik and oived elokim are synonymous. Hainu rasha, hainu asher lo yavod. Let's assume a rasha is synonymous with a person who fails to serve Hashem. So why this repetition? Aren't we saying the same thing again? He says, no. We're speaking about different types of categories. Amalei Sahila responds, Avode v'le avode. Both individuals, the one that we describe as being Oived Elokim, and the one that we describe as being Lo Yavode, are both Tarvayu Tzadiki Gmurni. They're full-fledged righteous people, perfect people. But there's one nuance, there's one difference here. The fellow who's Avode is exactly as is Avode. He works hard. He pushes that extra bit. He goes beyond his reach. You can't compare a person who is shoyne pirkei me'apam, one who reviews his learning 100 times, which is standard. Apparently it was standard in those days, do it 100 times. To this fellow who went the extra mile, one more, above, over the top. 101. Marsha says 101 is beyond teva. 100 is 10. That's the full number, is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. You go into 101, it's Lamala Mederach HaTeva territory. Some say this denotes Malach Michael, Gematria 101. And this fellow who pushed beyond the limit, he went to 101. He did the extra bit. He is Meiser Nefesh. He is Oived Elokim. I once went to Rav Chaim Kanievsky and I was telling him that, Slacha for Liban HaTorah, I was lamenting the fact that, you learn and you don't remember anything. So he turns to me with a gentle smile. He says, "Tell me something. Did you learn 101 times already?" I didn't have to respond. That was my answer. As far as say, a person learns 101 times, he doesn't forget, because he's left the confines of teva, of nature, where it's a hara, and all those have control, and they can cause you to forget. But beyond teva, once you get to 101, you're beyond his reach, and it gets absorbed properly for all time. The shoyne pirkei me'eh ve'echad. Sounds like he was speaking from experience. Amalei so ben Hey has a kash. He says, so one time less, you call him lo yavodai? Umishim chadzimna, because he's missing one time, karele lo yavodai? That much of a gap, just one time? Amalei in. He says, look, for sure. And I'll give you a mashal. Look what goes on in the marketplace. Say lamad, go and take a lesson. Mishuk shel chamar, from the shuk of the donkey drivers. Go to the taxi stand. There's a standard fare, and then there's a intercity fare, which is proportionally way more than the standard fare, right? You're asking him to go the extra mile, literally, he's going to charge you double. Asara parsi, you hire him for 10 parsa, the standard fare, bezuzah. So the standard distance, you pay him the standard fare, azuz. Chadasa parsi, if you want extra, you want to take him out of the city limits, you want to take him 11 miles, betray zuz, he doubles the price. So going that extra mile, going from 100 to 101 pa'amim, is way more than going from 99 to 100. It's reaching beyond teva. And Hashem appreciates that. So that little bit of extra is proportionally so much more valuable than everything else. Amalei Eliyahu, so Eliyahu Navi turns to this person, Lebar Heihei. Some say Rabbi Lazar. What does the pasuk mean? Hinei tzaraftich v'loy v'chesef b'chartich v'chur oini. Hashem says, I've purified you, but not using the standard procedure of a silver smelter, rather b'kur oini, poverty. Malamed, this teaches us. Shechazak HaKadosh Baruch Hu al kol midas toves litin Yisrael. Hashem was looking around, so to speak, shopping around. Which midah can I? What can I give Klal Yisrael? Which trait? Which experience? What's best for them? V'lo matzah el aniyus. Hashem decided poverty is the best. keeps us in shape, keeps us in perspective. Amar Shmuel v'Tamar of Yosef. People say, poverty is good, it's beneficial for the Yidden, for Yisrael. And compared to ki barza sumka, like a red strapless susya chiver to a white horse. Marsha says a white horse is beautiful on his own. He ever saw this white, a nice white stall. Beautiful. He doesn't need adornments. He doesn't need added jewelry to give him yofi. He has inherent beauty. So the red strap doesn't take away from his. He doesn't need adornment. Klal Yisrael have internal beauty. We have midas type internal beauty. We don't need the external distractions that wealth, that Oisha brings. Of course, Hashem has His means, has His reasons, His chesbainis, but on the whole, Klal Yisrael benefit from the concept of living just right within their means. It keeps us in it keeps us in our place. And the Gemara in Beitza said, Klal Yisrael are azan shebeumes Yisrael. By the animals you have the kelev and etc. By the amen, by the nations, Klal Yisrael are the azan shebeumes. We're the most prideful nation. We have a lot of self-esteem and confidence, and it's good for us sometimes to feel, to put us in place, to keep us on track. Rabbi Shimon Naso Eimer, Ezo mu'uvas lichal liskoin zehabal erva, voil men mams. So according to Shimon Naso, we're speaking about an irreparable situation. He generated a mams. Hoilid in, loy hoilid loy. Only if he generated a mamzer, but otherwise interacting with an erva doesn't have the same effect. Vatani, we have a brayso which says as follows. In the name of the same Rabbi Shimon Manasseh, Omer, he says like this: Goyin if a person steals, as terrible as it is, he can make up. Efsha sheyachser gneva v'yisak, and he can return what he stole, correct what he did. Or goizel adam, a person robs. Here as well, efsha sheyachser gzele v'yisak, you can return what he robbed. Okay, it's not fresh. Aval habal eshasish, if one interacts with an eshasish v'asher labala, and generated an isser, she's no longer allowed to go back to her husband. This fellow disabled her permanently. Nitrad mino ilam v'halacha. This fellow was banished from the world. He created an everlasting effect to his avera. Terrible. The result is just terrible. In any case, just by making her forbidden Isra Bala, that's already considered mu'uvas leichal iskan. You don't need to make a mamzer to have that severity. And here in our Mishnah, Shimon Nasi says only because he made a mamzer, have a stira. See the Mishnah in the Bryce. Okay, let's first finish the Bryce, then we'll get to the Kash. We'll get to the Teretz. Shimon Nechai Omer, he says, look, this mu'uva uz leichal iskan, and he said back in the Mishnah, speaking about a Talmud Chacham who misses the opportunity, gives up his career in Torah. Ein Omer bakru gomel. The fellows in the Beis Hamikdash, they don't announce, well, go take a look, inspect the camel, see if he's roy for a carbon. Bakru chazir, go inspect the chazir. No, we don't bring they don't have carbon potential. They're not on the carbon list. What then do they say? Allah bakru tleh, go inspect the tleh, the sheep, the lamb, go see if you can bring him as a carbon. The animal has potential, carbon. So our expectations are dependent upon a person's potential. So what are we speaking about? The Talmud Chacham. A person who has the potential to sit and learn, Shepirish Torah, decides to leave, to abandon Torah for no reason. He's a mu'uvas leichal iskan. Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish Amar, called Talmud Chacham Shepirish Torah, one who strays from Torah, all of akasav omer ketzipor neidedes min kana, like a bird which wanders away from its reed where it rests, it wanders away from home. Kainish noided min kaimai. So to a person who wanders away from his home base, a Talmud Chacham from his Torah. V'omer, as the pasuk says, Ma matzav v'seichem bi'aval. What wrong? What did your parents see wrong in me? Ki racham Allah, is Hashem speaking that they distance himself from me. In any case, the Brisa clearly says that interacting with an ish and creating Isra Bala is sufficiently serious. We don't need to make a mamzer. Like Kashi, the answer is depends on the situation. That's what we're speaking about. If he interacted with his his sister, or unmarried sister. In that case, there's no Baal. So the effect is only felt when there's a mamzer. Kan Be'eshes Ish, the Bais is speaking about Eshes Ish. Interacting with her generates Isra Bala, creates that same effect. Another terrorist would be Hava Be'eshes Ish, both are speaking about Eshes Ish. The Kash depends what we're speaking, Kan Ba'inus. If it was Ba'inus, forced relationship, in which case she remains permitted to her husband. So in that case, the concern is only when there's a mamzer. Kan Baratzin, the Bais is speaking when it was done willingly, in which case she become Asra on her husband. That in itself is severe enough. A third option is Hava Ba'inus. The Mishnah, the Brisa is speaking that it was a forced relationship. Well, the Kash, and the answer is Kam Be'eshes Kohen. A Kohen's wife becomes Asra even in that case. That's what the Brisa is speaking about. Kam Be'eshes Yisrael. Amish is speaking about Eshes Yisrael. It doesn't become Asra if it's an Einus. It's only when there's a mamzer involved that we have that same severity. So we have a pasuk in Zechariah, which says like this: if one comes and goes, he finds no peace. Amarav. You know what it's speaking about? This is a hemshech of the Gemara before Talmud Chacham Shpir from Torah. So although we're not speaking about a person who totally leaves Torah, we're speaking about a slight downgrade, or not a full experience. And therefore, he doesn't find peace. He doesn't find satisfaction. What is that? We have several examples. Amarav. Person who's engaged in learning halacha and delving into halachas, and he decides, you know what? From now on, 24/7 chumash. Midvar halacha, midvar mikra. Shuva English shalom. He's not going to have proper peace. Rashi explains, because only through Mishnayos do we have true understanding and proper perspective of the psukim of Torah. You can't just sit and learn chumash all day. You're not going to really feel satisfied. You're not going to have the proper benefit and understanding from chumash itself. Ushmol Amar, another example, Zapirish mitalmud Mishnah. A fellow who's engaged in Talmud, Gemara. Even during the time of Gemara, they had Gemara, because Talmud really means analyzing, discussion, debating, going to the Rebbeim and figuring things out, asking contradictions and kashas, and figuring out the true depths behind the halachas and the various Mishnahs and Brises. So a fellow is engaged in that, and he drops down, he goes to the Mishnah just to learn the Mishnahs on a superficial level, or just the halachas and the Gemara on a superficial level. He doesn't have the true depth and geschmack of understanding the halachas. He's not really going to be satisfied. He's not filling his full mental capacity, and he's not going to have the true clarity and conclusions of Torah. Ein lo yishal. I remember as a child, so just past Bar Mitzvah, I was very into learning Mishnayos of Al Peh, getting the words just to know Al Peh, and at a certain time you just burn out. You lose the enthusiasm when your mind sort of develops more and you want more. Just the words itself, just mouthing the words. And I lost chesed, I lost my drive, and I felt terrible about it. It was in the summer in Camp Shraga, and he used to come there. Rabbi Avram Palms Atzal used to spend the summers there. So happens I was having a hard day, wasn't feeling it, and he was standing there, and I went over to him, and I told him in a broken voice, I said, after all this effort, I'm trying to learn Mishnayos Ba'al Peh, and I just don't feel I'm enjoying it anymore. Thought for a moment, and he turned to me and says, you know what? Drop it. Focus on the meaning of the words. The shakla v'tar, the maso matan. You want to learn Mishnah, it's great. But don't worry about the words. Don't worry about recording the words, saying over the words as is. What he meant to say is it's too superficial. At this point in time, when your mind is maturing, you need more. You need to understand. You need to challenge it. You need to analyze it. And you'll feel satisfied. And that's when I dropped. I stopped the Mishnah Ba'al Peh, and I just focus more on the meaning, on the understanding, the shittas, and then you feel satisfied. Rabbi Yehuda Amar afilu mishas l'shas. Rashi learns, even if one transfers from Shas Yerushalmi, which has clarity and is presented very concisely, goes to Talmud Bavli, which is very, very confusing, as we all know. So going from one to the other, it takes away the feeling of shalom, of peace of mind, this constant tumult and uncertainty. Afilu mishas l'shas. Okay, but Lamaisa, this is what we do, and this is what we've been doing for hundreds of years, thousands of years. The Iker Limud is Talmud Bavli. So apparently we're supposed to derive satisfaction even from the confusion, so to speak, of Talmud Bavli. So what did we learn today? We spoke about Tashlumim. Ideally, one is meant to bring his korbanos on day 1. He misses day 1, bring it throughout Yom Tov, throughout Pesach, throughout Sukkot, even on day 8. What if he was not roya on day 1? He was a chigar on day 1. Rabbi Yechon says he's off the hook. There's no chiv on day 2, which is just a makeup for day 1. Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. He says it's not dependent on day 1. We had a pasuk, right? This fellow passed through Yom Tov without a carbon, missed opportunity. So we had several pshatim on this pasuk. So the Mishnah applied it to this fellow who missed the carbon CHAGGIGA, or the Eilis Ri opportunity. We had another pshat in the Gemara, he missed the Krishma Tefillah opportunity. Chisoron loichel imanos, says Hillel, is referring to a fellow who was meant to join his friends in doing a mitzvah, and he stayed out. We have Reb Shimon Menashe's pshat. It's speaking about one who generated a mamzer, or as the Gemara concludes, even making the Isha Asur al-Bala certainly fits that description. And according to Shimon Reichai, was speaking specifically about a person who was masukim betchila, a person with high potential, with high standards, and disregarded his potential, missed that opportunity. As the Gemara concludes, even in a lower scale, a person has to be careful to stick to the highest form of learning. A person has to do the utmost to fill his entire capacity with the highest form of learning from which he derives full enjoyment. All the best to you and much hatzlacha.